I'm sure by now you've seen that I've been playing Forza Horizon 5. My review's up on GameSpot, and I'll, just come out and say it. It's the best one, which is
My goodness,
pretty much what you hope for from the next game in a, now I think you can safely call it a very long-running series.
Yeah, it's been around. I mean, they released,
Yeah.
although 4 didn't come out that long ago. It feels like maybe like 2 years ago, I'd say.
I think it was like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
So the reason it doesn't feel as long ago is because usually what would happen was you would alternate between Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport.
Yeah.
But Turn 10 has been taking a long time with the next Motorsport because they kind of want to use it as a reboot platform. I think I would not be shocked if they're going the sort of
Games
Halo
as a service,
Infinite route, where like this is the platform we're going to use for a very long time. And so Playground Games, the UK-based studio, had enough time to kind of, put out another Horizon. And I've said this a lot, but the Horizon franchise has, for the past probably 6-7 years, been the best racing franchise, in my opinion, just out there. Like, it was all doing open world racing in Forza Horizon 2 that hasn't been matched yet. You know what I mean?
My goodness.
And so they've just been iterating on that formula, and the likes of, Need for Speed. I mean, what other racing franchises are there? There's no Burnout anymore. So
Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo Sport. Gran Turismo is a whole other thing. I think Gran Turismo is still like, it is still a sim.
Serious,
so it's more, it's more like a comparison point to Forza Motorsport. I don't think comparing the two is even worthwhile. But yeah, so if you've never played a Horizon, the low-key like bullet points are you are part of what is called the Forza Horizon Festival, sorry. And essentially this is just like a racing series that kind of like globetrots the world. Horizon 2 was a sort of amalgamation of a lot of European cities, like Italy and France and stuff like that. 3 was Australia, which was really fun. I really enjoyed 3. 4 was Britain, which I enjoyed but wasn't my favorite setting. And then now 5 is Mexico.
Yeah.
And Mexico feels a lot like 3's Australia. Yeah, because it kind of brings you so many different sort of biomes and hubs to explore. So you have you have dense city areas, and then just, not far from them, you have tons of arid sand dunes across the coast. And then you've got like dry outback, you've got dense jungles, you've got wetlands and very arid like deserts, but with vegetation. So you've got a lot, going on, and you get cool things like, if you're watching the video now, like sandstorms can crop up, or tropical storms when you're in the jungle, which can like be like heavy rain and stuff like that.
You can't see a thing.
So yeah, there's such a variety to the entire map. A map which Playground Games says is around 50% bigger than number 4, which
my goodness.
I didn't really outwardly feel, because I just enjoyed driving around it so much that I wasn't like focused on, oh man, it's going to take me forever to get from here to here. I just enjoyed driving from point to point. And that's something that I didn't really get from 4, because like Britain is nice and all, but I just found it all very samey, to be honest. So
it's like the countryside, but the whole map
it was just like
the
countryside most. So I'm glad that it's gone back to a setting that can feel more exotic in a way, and just, this is almost like a tasting menu for all of Mexico. It's brought like all of the features it has as a country and condensed it into one small map. And that's what the best maps in Horizon have done. Like Australia was the same. And even Horizon 2, it was like, you had the coastlines of Nice, and then you had like the vineyards of Florence and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very cool. It's a completely outlandish premise. Like, it's just this racing festival that comes to this region and just like overtakes the roads and like wildlife and kind of everything, just to host these races everywhere. But it just lets you partake in tons of events. You've got road races, you've got off-road races, cross-country ones, Baja events, street races, just such variety to everything you can do. And it's got all the staples of a Horizon game. So you've got, little XP boards that you can bash as you're making your way through the world. You've got little mini races you can do, little sections which are like drifting challenges. You've got classic cars to find in barns around the map that can then be restored. But the big standout thing here, I think, in terms of changes is what they call Horizon Adventure. And that's sort of like your single player story mode type of thing. And I think the big change here is that they've made a more focused attempt to make a bit more of a human story. Previously, it was like, you're here with the festival, you're racing, just do your thing.
Just doing things.
Yeah. Here you're progressing and you're getting rewards called accolades. And these accolades allow you to eventually expand the Horizon Festival in a way that you want to. So it'll be like, here are 5 types of festivals or racing events, and you upgrade each one, which unlocks more races on the maps or unlocks more story missions attributed to that race type. So your progression is essentially controlled by the stuff you want to do, which felt really nice.
Yeah.
And it gives the map, like, it feels like every time you are unlocking one of these things, you're opening up a new portion of the map. Like, you can explore the map from the get-go, but it does feel like you are slowly letting the the festival encroach, take over the region. So it populates it in a very natural way. But these story missions are really good. They're kind of ridiculous. Like, there's one that follows a string of missions where you're helping like a university student collect loads of data at high speeds in different terrains. Another one loves taking photographs in sandstorms, so you like put yourself in really dangerous situations to get photographs. I think my favorite one was there's a mechanic or an engineer that you meet right at the beginning, and she helps you find a like classic VW Beetle. And she goes on to explain that the VW Beetle has a big it's quite significant in Mexican culture. Like, it was kind of like a very popular car in the times there. And in the story, her grandfather used to race in one. So you take part in these events, which kind of recreate a lot of the types of races and stunts he did in his VW, which they call a Vocho. And each one is sort of like a way for her to connect with her grandfather and kind of like rekindle like a sense of like love between cars and family, which is, I thought, was really cool. I just thought it was a really interesting avenue that the Horizon series hasn't gone down, because it is essentially, it's a game for people who love like cars. But a lot of the time there are like very personal stories attached to, especially like cars that have been passed down through the ages. So I thought that was really cool, and the missions themselves are just really fun.
From what you've told me, just the premises they give you, like they obviously give you an excuse to go drive through a sandstorm or drive at a high speed. It gives you
essentially
some sort of agency or context to it, which is quite cool. You're not just doing races.
Yeah, it's not just races. There's so much littered around the map that, like, if you just feel like you're like, cool, I've done a string of races, now I want to try something different, there's always something close by that you can try, you know what I mean? And I think that's what Horizon as a series has always just done really well, is just the sheer variety of things you can do in its open world, and the way that it's designed, that you always, even if you're making your way from one race to another, there's stuff you can do on the way that feels meaningful all the time. And everything you do in the game works towards those accolades that let you then unlock more events. So it feels like every little piece of racing you're doing, even if the racing is just getting from one event to another, is contributing to overall progression. So it feels purposeful. And I think that's something that so many other open world games just lack. Like, there's so many open world especially action games where you feel like, okay, you're going to this point of the map to start a mission, then you're going to this point of the map to start the mission. The stuff in between is superfluous. Like it just doesn't matter. And Horizon like completely flips that on its head and has for a very long time. I don't get why, like how Playground Games nailed this aspect so early on and no one's kind of figured it out in the same way. But at the same time, you know, this isn't just the same game, more of it. Like the story missions are different enough that they feel fresh and exciting. Like you still have Horizon has been come to known for its showcase events where you'll be like in number 4 you raced a train, or at the beginning of this game you raced like a cargo plane, stuff like that. But they've, you know, they still have those like ridiculous and very cinematic showpiece races, but then they have races against like other people, like a cartel of, not a cartel, but like a group of street racers. Yeah, a group of street racers who like don't really like the Horizon Festival and kind of like see themselves as more elite, and like, you know, so you race them in the streets or stuff like that. It's just really good, and the sheer variety that the map offers helps keep things fresh, because like every race you're doing, even though it could be just another circuit race or another sprint race, because you're doing it in like this jungle with you know, wet mud that makes your cars like slip and slide around, is very different from racing on, you know, tarmac on the roads. So yeah, it's really good. This is a game that will be around for a while. It's got like a sort of pseudo like season pass in it. So it's not something you have to buy. You like every 7 days the season changes. This is something they introduced in fall, but the seasons are a bit less intrusive as they were in the last one, where like seasonal events will be influenced by the weather. So it will be like wet or hot or I actually haven't seen many others, because, you know, it cycles every 7 days. But that changes the surfaces that you race on, because obviously, like if you're racing in a dry or a wet terrain in a jungle, that completely changes how the ground is going to feel. So you have these seasonal events, and then every week those seasonal events refresh, and you've got different rewards to kind of like work towards. And then you've got like daily and weekly challenges that also contribute to that. So this is a game like you can keep coming back to in small pockets of time every week and unlock new cars that have been added, race new championships that have been created. And that's like completely outside of also the customization options that are there. Like there's tools there that let players create their own races and their own events that you can then play in multiplayer. So it's just a ridiculous amount of content, and it's a racing game that you can be like, cool, this is going to be the thing that I play for the next 2 years until a Horizon 6 comes out, or you know, Motorsport comes out. Yeah. And I mean, they've already said they have plans for expansions and stuff like that. So,
well, yeah. I mean, my experience with Forza Horizon 5 has been non-existent, because I thought the game is out on Friday the 5th, but turns out that was the early access release date. So imagine my disappointment where I was like, yeah, it's downloaded, I can launch it. Oh, it's only
They've
out
done that
like
for the past like 3 editions now. It's like, yeah, you can pay more to play it like 4 days early. And I'm still in two minds about that, but yeah,
but in shop, so Jeff, good pal Jeff, said that, you know, if you play through Game Pass, it's usually this weird gray area of like, oh, I can't really pay for the premium edition because then I'm going to like buy the whole game, whatever. But apparently they've taken into account, you know, if you've got Game Pass, you can buy the premium pass, whatever. It'll just be a lot cheaper.
I think you can buy the premium pass for like $40.
Yeah,
and then you get access to the 2 expansions that have been announced.
That's what I was getting at. There's going to be, like you said, this is a game that's going to be around for a long time, and there are actual formal expansions planned.
And the expansions are pretty cool. Like in the past ones, they introduced like
Lego.
a whole Lego expansion. They introduced like Hot Wheels tracks. They had a James Bond car pack. I think in one of the previous entries, they had a Fast and the Furious car pack. Like they go all out with these expansions. Like they're not like, oh, here's 8 more cars, you know. So I mean, it seems like they're adding cars every week just with these seasonal events. So yeah. It's for all intents and purposes, a live service game that you don't have to pay a subscription for or have to pay, like a battle pass for.
Yeah.
And it's a great racing game. Like, it's got so many tweaks that let you, make it as arcadey or as sim-like as you want. They've repurposed or redone the suspension and braking models, so it feels a bit more realistic, but at the same time, I feel like I could do like more ridiculous turns with it. And yeah, it's just the granularity at which you can change your racing experience is fantastic.
Yeah, it's accessible to everyone.
Yeah, like I can make my opponents, the AI, more difficult without having to change to like manual shifting or like taking off traction control, because I don't understand cars in that way, or I don't enjoy racing with that in mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want to be able to brake, accelerate, turn, do the thing. I don't want to have to like figure out how ABS brakes and traction control work on a deep level to play. That's full degree not my type of game.
Like, come on.
But at the same time, like I love playing challenging AI. So the fact that I can edit those independent of each other has always been a fun thing.
Yeah,
and there's car customization as well. You can change out every individual part of your car, like the engine, the spoiler, the tires.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's like it's got that aspect. So if you really just want to lose hours to like really tuning a car to its absolute full potential, you can.
Sure.
And you can also just download pre-made ones that, so essentially you can do like a thing where it looks at your car, looks at the event, and is like, this is a tuning we think will work. Or you can go online and see what other players have posted as optimal tunings and download those. So very community driven.
That's very cool.
Sense. But again, like if you've been playing Forza Horizon, most of this shouldn't come as a shock, because this is like the basis that has always been at the surface of this game, is just racing and community. And yeah, it's at its best here. It's so good. And it's absolutely gorgeous. Like,
oh yeah, I'm very excited to dive into it.
Just really, really insane.
Yeah, the games. I mean, I've never actually committed to playing a Forza. It's like you have. I've often just jumped in. Whether it be at a friend's house or something who has an Xbox. But I have this ready to play on PC, so I'm very keen to see what it looks like.
It's going to be a treat on PC, apparently. Yeah. So I won't go into the nitty gritty, but Digital Foundry have a full breakdown on the tech in this game, and also just how scalable it is.
Yeah.
Like the fact that this works on an Xbox One from 2013 and looks really good.
I was actually going to say it is available on last gen, right? Yeah, that's insane.
So funnily enough, Forza Horizon 2 was also one of those games. It existed on the Xbox 360 and then was a showpiece on the Xbox One when it launched. And so what Digital Foundry did, I actually found it quite interesting. They took both versions of that game and showed how different they were at the time, to show like a cross-gen gap and to what it is now. And the differences between cross-gen are so small. Well, I wouldn't say so small, but they far less significant than they were back then.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Playground Games has created a system where their engine is so scalable that it's still able to look like a generational leap on newer hardware. Like, this isn't a game constrained by needing to run on older consoles. Put it that way. Because their engine is just so flexible.
It's versatile. Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, these are the guys making the new Fable. So if they've got the sensibilities of how to make an open world right, I think that's 80% of the way there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they do. Very, very keen.
But even just quickly on that, just Game Pass, it feels like the next, this period now is quite a strong showing, particularly because we've just had Age of Empires. You've got a PC.
Yes, Age of Empires 4.
Forza Horizon 5 and Halo's in the next month. That's like
I cannot wait.
3 AAA games. Because a lot of people say like, Game Pass, Xbox doesn't have games, and it's there, but they've invested in the studios. We had Psychonauts 2 a month or two ago. You're gonna start.
It's been a strong year for Xbox exclusives.
They're going to start hitting this cadence, I think, next year specifically, when it's almost going to be like a monthly or just every second month a AAA Xbox game. Which
you're starting to see that cycle like start pay off. I think, and I mean the games from all their acquisitions haven't even come to fruition yet. These are games that were Horizon was only announced this year, but you always knew it was coming. And Halo was announced like years ago.
Deathloop coming next year.
Yeah, Deathloop coming next year. Starfield. This time next year, Starfield. Yeah. So, yeah, I think they're hitting. I mean, I've always said, even during the Xbox One days, where people are like, oh, the Xbox doesn't have a killer app. And I've always been like, Horizon is that killer app. But I get it, because not everyone's into racing.
Not everyone's into racing. Yeah, I think if you're looking at the average gamer, they are looking for, I don't know, like an open world. They're
looking for story-driven stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, PlayStation's really good at story-driven adventures, and people love good stories.
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
That's why people love Marvel films. They love climactic, story-driven things, and Xbox does not have that, straight up.
Whatever, man. Forza Horizon 5's got a good Volkswagen story among others. So.
Maybe it transforms into Iron Man. Who knows? You never know.
And then Vin Diesel rocks up. It's like, it's all about family.
It is.
There'll be a DLC. Watch the next Fast film.
But yeah, Forza's great. Always has been great. This one's just the best one yet, and it's so good to see a studio just keep hitting. Like, it's unbelievable. Our Playground can just be this good.
They. I mean,
easily
like you
the
said,
strongest studio that Microsoft owns.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the last Forza, but just the setting didn't click for you.
It was mainly just the setting. I was just like, I got a bit tired of the setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a game.
Playground
does not miss. They do not miss.
Your catchman, as an AI in your game.
Yeah, get your Dravatar into my game. Can't wait to leave you in my dust, bitch.